What's up, YouTubers? I'm not going to start with this 0393 in my review, primarily because whoever chose to do these carbon fiber overlays on this ZT0393, I don't know. I will say it's pretty comfortable in the hand, but for me, I've been sitting on this one a while and I just couldn't do a review on it because I hated that. So I did buy a pair of scale covers from Sharp Dressed Knives. I'm going to pull those out. Sorry, they weren't out already. But basically, I'm going to replace with full micarta, which covers up that gap. It's not so much the fact that it's the slick carbon fiber on a harder, quote-unquote, use knife. It's the fact that they left these gaps here. I don't know why they left those gaps there. I mean, like I said, comfort in the hand, I can see it kind of forms a contouring, but it just looks weird. It also, one of the great things about it being, you know, a bolster lock, if you will, or a frame inside liners, is that the marvelous thing they could have had is that there's no risk of you putting any pressure, whereas there is now. So I am going to go ahead and swap these scales out and do this review after I have these scales on. So we'll pick up after here. Okay, YouTubers, now we have what I consider a worthy Zero Tolerance 0393 model to review. This ZT0393 is based on the Hinderer Eklipse model with a harpoon span-toe blade. I have kind of a combination, and it also has the working finish. So let me go ahead and bring out the working finish just so you can kind of see how it compares. They're pretty similar. There does seem to be a thicker whatever nitride or whatever coating acid, as well as a little bit more deal of tumbling on the Hinderer working finish, so that's a little bit softer. Do appreciate that a little bit more. But in terms of the faithfulness to the harpoon span-toe blade, this is again on an XM18 skinny. You can see that it's very, very similar. So they did a really good job on that. That's kind of jumping ahead into one of the pros of this knife. This particular Zero Tolerance 0393 features a 3.5-inch blade of 20 CV super steel. It weighs 5 ounces, and that was with the carbon fiber as well as with these micarta scales. And it prices at $312. I have a little bit of a problem with that, and we'll talk about that at the end. In terms of some other, I think comparisons or alternative knives, for me, thinking down the Zero Tolerance line, the 0640, this one actually is $278, has a little bit longer than a 3.5-inch blade, but the cut profile was almost identical. And if you kind of look at, they both have some fairly thick blade stock, and the grind is similarly high. So I would expect them to perform the same. Just if you want to know kind of out of the box, what I would choose the 0640 most times in this instance. That's definitely a comparison knife, though, and you can actually get that one for the $278 with the micarta scales over at USA Made Blade. No, I'm not a paid spokesman, but boy, I got to tell you, that's one of the greatest deals out there. The ZT0562 tie, definitely also in the comparison range there. Again, that's also a Hinderer design, and you got a 3.5-inch blade. It's definitely just a little bit different beast and a different reproduction. This particular one happens to be the Castle Edition Punisher. Yeah, so definitely an alternative or comparison. That one goes for about equivalent, I think, $320. And then one last one, or actually not the last one, the second to last one, but the AD20 Slimline. This is, I'll go ahead and move it down a little bit. Sorry about that. But the 80/20 Slimline feels very similar in hand in terms of the width, and if you actually look at those, it's just about exact same. The width, the contouring, that sort of thing. It felt for me, the 20 Slimline actually has thinner blade stock, so it does perform a little bit better. This is a made in the USA one. It does have D2 steel, so not 20 CV, but a G10 frame there, if you will. And this one, made in the USA, $375 for that one. So for me, that I think was, kind of a little bit better deal. But in terms of a true comparison, really, you got to talk about the Hinderer Eklipse, the Hinderer Knives Eklipse. So this is the basis for the 0393, and I think it is a very good and faithful reproduction of it. This one does happen to have the replacement full tie frame on it, but that it was fine with the little skinny frame, or skinny type frame, sandwiched with the G10, and that's $425. So really, that's kind of what you're talking about, I think, in terms of my collection. What are some comparisons or alternatives? Let's jump right into the pros of this knife. The grind and the heat treat, the sharpening of this harpoon spanto. I already kind of showed another harpoon spanto on the XM18 Skinny. They did a great job on that. I gotta tell you, I use this, never even had to strop it. It's as sharp as the day I got it, and I use this a fair bit. Didn't really get a lot of video of it, that sort of thing. I did get some of that front side montage of just carving to really to get a feel for how is this thing in comfort. And it's really good. So I really appreciate that. I think, again, the faithfulness and the reproduction of this one compared to like the 0562 tie to the XM18, I like this one definitely better. I just felt it was more Rick Hindery, if you will, and just also more like kind of the feel in hand. For example, some of the things they did do is they didn't mill out the frame in terms of any of that titanium in there, so it is a little bit of a heft to it. You don't have that generally on the base models of the Hinderer Eklipse either. So the milling of the frame, also the detent, is definitely tuned on this one more for the thumb studs, because it's actually very easy to get to fail. Well, couldn't get that to fail. Well, yeah, it's starting to behave really well now. I don't know. I carried this thing for a few weeks, but I was able to get it to fail through the flipper. You still have to try, but this one is definitely tuned for the thumb studs, and I really appreciate that. Don't even try that on the 0562 tie. I mean, you can, but it's just gonna, ouch. Yeah, that just hurt my thumb. Oh, so yeah, appreciate that. Definitely good for lefties. With a fully reversible clip, tip up, and then you have the left side up here. It's really nice. The carbon fiber that does come with it, I think, well, you saw it on the initial opening of this, but it just, yeah, you can see where it just misses it. So that's for me, but they are both reversible if you have the carbon fiber as well. So, the contoured feel on this one was really good. Like I said, even on pull cuts, usually knives with 2 grooves on here, finger grooves, are very uncomfortable. Like the Brian TIE Fighter is not super comfortable. It has 2 grooves there. And this one, though, because of all this contouring, and especially because of these replacement overlay scales, definitely very comfortable. So really good on that. Those are definitely the strong points of this one. On the negatives, the pocket clip, though it is reversible, it's just kind of a cheap steel. I won't say cheap steel, it's steel, spring steel, but it's just too shallow. Right there you can see this one just doesn't fit really well over kind of thick jeans. The bill is actually up enough. It reminded me a little bit better improvement of the 0640 pocket clip, which I literally had to take off and rebend because it did not have enough, neither ramp nor coverage here for your pants. It was literally like squeezing them. So yeah, kind of a weak point on that one. And then if you look at the overall, beauty of this knife, and I think one thing Kershaw / ZT does really well is their black wash. I don't care, that's fine, keep it steel, but black wash this thing, or leave it gray and gray wash it so that it kind of fits with the entire motif of the working finish here. They just did good old spray paint black on there, and you can see a little chip there from when I just dinged it against the card. Not a big deal, but boy, they could have really made this spectacular, I think, if they had kind of just black washed these a little bit, run them through a tumbler. Yeah, I could do it myself, but dang, I think they just definitely missed one of those things. And then, of course, the last thing is those carbon fiber scales. No problem with the manufacture of them. They are just that design. I literally want somebody, if you make it this far in the video, I want somebody to give me a good use case for why these would be better than just covering the whole thing. Because the scales that I had to put on, they solve all the problems. They solve the problems of, like, backside flipping with your finger. Just because it keeps your hands off that lock bar. Everything, left-handed thumb stud, all of it, comfort in hand. I think even the look of it. I want to know, to me, this is a literally wasted $50. And really, I'll jump into the overalls. I think this knife should sell for about $285, not $312, $315, because without the replacement of those carbon fiber scales, oh yeah, they do glow in the dark, and it works very much like the other ones from ZT. They're glow in the dark stuff. It takes a lot of light. But for me, I think they should drop this price, $35, and at least pay for half the price of these Sharp Dress Knives replacement scales. Because with that, absolutely love this knife. I really did. I just, yeah, very, very good. But I'm just a little bit disappointed that you add in the $70 scales on top of the $312 knife. You had $380 for this one. And overall, like I said, for basically a whole $100 less, for me, for a pretty close to equivalent carry, cutting performance, and actually the action of this 0640, which is also on washers. Obviously, I think I'll make sure I've linked that review of that knife. One of my favorite knives ever. It's $100 above that. And so for me, it's a great knife. I don't think it's a good buy. Might as well hold out and get the actual Hinderer model for $425, because for just $35 over what this one is, love it as is, but you're going to get even a much better titanium clip with the Hinderer. So this one I'll probably end up replacing with a, or who knows. It's just, this is not a good value knife from ZT. Definitely not one of those that I consider good value. Hope you did enjoy this video, and like I said, I'll link the disassembly at the end of this. If you did, like and subscribe, and have a great day. Take care now. Okay, we are gonna swap out these crappy ass carbon fiber scales. Now, they're not crappy because of the construction of them, just because of the design with these swoops here, leaving exposed the working finish, especially when they move to the working finish version of this versus the standard satin blade. And I think it was like blackened here, but this just looks a little bit dorky. So we're gonna swap this guy out. I'm obviously gonna need a T8 on the pivot here, and T6 for the other little hardware stuffs. And we will go ahead and swap this guy out. I will jump into some fast forward mode here.